Imagine a world where extinct species of animals could live once again on our planet. A world where it could duplicate or make exact copies of lost loved ones, or even yourself. You could cure cancer by replacing sick cells with healthy cells using stem cells. While these things might seem a little bit futuristic, cloning can one day make them a possibility. Cloning is the process of creating genetically identical organisms. You might have heard about the world-famous sheep called Dolly. Dolly is the first cloned mammal that is cloned from an adult cell. Why is Dolly so topical? Dolly wasn't the first cloned animal. Salamanders, fish, and frogs are cloned before Dolly. The most important thing about Dolly is that she leads people to think. If we can already clone sheep, why can't we clone human beings? In this presentation, I'm going to present you my views on cloning and how it has impacted us in both the society and the environment. First of all, I'm going to talk about the history of cloning and how cloning works. You might not believe it, but cloning has been around for millions and millions of years. In nature, it occurs when identical twins are produced. In the olden days, it is used in agriculture. Have you ever tried cutting a leaf off a plant and replanting it? If you did, you have successfully cloned a plant. That is the process of plant cloning. Animal cloning is a whole different thing. It is way more complicated than plant cloning. Animal cloning has changed a lot since its first appearance. In 1902, a scientist used the baby's hair, tied a knot around a salamander's egg, and pulled both ends of the knot to force the egg to split. Therefore, there are two identical salamander eggs. This is the process of artificial twinning. As cloning technology developed, new methods are being discovered. In 1977, scientists found out the somatic cell nuclear transfer method. They first tested it on frogs. So how does that actually work? Now, imagine cloning myself. First, you would need an egg from a female. Then, you would need to remove the nucleus of the egg, the part where all the DNA is stored, with a cell from me. Like skin, hair, like skin and hair. After that, you would need to fuse them with an electric shock. Then, you would need to implant it into a female to allow the clone to grow. In just 7 weeks, the clone would look like this. And in 9 months, there would be a new baby me. This is the process of somatic cell nuclear transfer. Now let's move on to the impacts of cloning. I believe everyone in this class loves the idea of having a Jurassic Park. In that film, scientists used DNA preserved to clone dinosaurs, but most scientists think it is impossible in real life. First of all, the DNA would be too degraded to be used in cloning. Secondly, there would be no living relatives to provide eggs for the clone. However, cloning can be used in more recent animals, such as the woolly mammoth. In Japan, a project is already underway to clone the long-extinct woolly mammoth. Cloning extinct animals might seem very amazing, but it can also cause lots of other problems, such as harming the ecosystem and creating new diseases and viruses. Secondly, nowadays, cloning technology is very unsafe. The technique that produced Dolly the sheep required 277 embryos, which of only one survived birth. The others are all deformed and died. Dolly the sheep was put down at a young age of 6. She developed a lung disease, which is usually found in older sheep. This is called premature aging. Except for this, it can also cause unknown and mysterious deaths. Cloning also harms the integrity of the traditional family as we know it. Single people would be able to produce babies without even the physical presence of a partner. This can also cause the confusion of family relationships. A rather important point to note that cloning is playing God. It is unnatural. First of all, the children will be treated as objects and would be manufactured and sold by expensive processes. This can change the society's view on life and children. Cloning can also lead to eugenics, or the control of the character of people. Parents will be able to choose their children's personality, traits, strengths, and also weaknesses. This idea is disturbingly close to Adolf Hitler's concept of breeding a race of superhumans. Plant cloning is another ongoing issue. You might think that it can create healthier foods and increase food production, but it can also, the cloned plants will be less resistant to diseases and pests. For example, imagine you have 1 million plants, and only one of them is the original. The others are all clones. And one single disease could wipe out all the other plants, as they're all genetically identical. This can lead to problems such as food shortages. Many people worry that cloned plants would contain harmful substances. This links greatly to genetically modified food. Now, before I move on to the conclusion, I would like to share some of the things I did during my investigation. First of all, I conducted a survey towards university students all around Hong Kong. Most of them think cloning is a bad idea and should not be applied towards humans. Second, except for conducting a survey, I also did numerous interviews via email and telephone to professors all around the world. But unfortunately, only 3 of them replied back. The first one is called Ian Wilman. He is the cloner of Zolly. The second one is Professor Lap Chi Tsui. He is currently the Vice Chancellor of the University of Hong Kong. The third one is Professor Panagiotis Zavos. He is one of the people who has claimed to have cloned the first human. Today I've been speaking to you about my views on cloning and how it has impacted us in the society and the environment. Hopefully you have realized that this topic is not that simple as it might seem. There are many questions we have to ask ourselves before working on cloning. Thank you for bearing with me in the last 8